So I'm Shuming Bao. I'm the director of China Data Institute. I was the previous director of the China Data Center at the University of Michigan, and for about almost 20 years. So we just separated from the UM last year. So here I would like to give an introduction to China Data Online and China Data Lab. Last time, about probably 2 months ago, I met engineer in Norway and at the East Asia Library Conference meeting, and then chat about some probably interested there on the China studies. So then we decided to have a webinar and for our China Data Online, and also the China Data Lab project. It's a new initiative, and we started last year. So for most of you, you probably have been meet all the different challenges for China studies and with the data. The primary challenges when we start up the China data center, first, the challenge is availability. When we started China Data Center in 1997, not many data available for China yet. So by that time, most of China studies and most of the primary resource is the yearbook of China. But there's many data available there, but not in a publication for the users. So the first challenge is how to make the data available, even the data available somewhere, but not available for the public users. The second one is accessibility. So we start the build a partnership with the National Bureau of Statistics, also with some company in China to make data available. So now there's many data available, but then there's another challenge is how to make data available and accessible by users. Since we have not only statistics data, sense data, also spatial data, so the big challenge for the people, if they want to buy all the original data, that's pretty expensive. So how to make the people and can access the data. And also another challenge is comparability. The data and come from different sources, a different format. The data can have some value or be more useful for users if the data or only the data can be comparable. That's our kind of changes when we build China data the centers. So here are some topics I would like to talk about what's a principle for database design, and what kind of data source, and what kind of methodologies for data processing, and also what kind of functions for the spatial temporal data analysis, and also data network job. To meet those challenges for the China data studies, so here are some principles. The first one, we call it 4C, is a comprehensive. So we try to get the data more comprehensive, cover different the field, not just only the population or health or the business. And also the data should be comparable across the time and the region. So we can then identify how the structure or business structure has been keep changes all the time. And also should be compatible and for the data come from different source, and also data need to be consistent and from different scales. The data may be at the national level, province level, and the township. So data can only be consistent if when the data come from different source. So the data and come from our data come from the primary the three factors when we build the database. One is the space. So all the data and they probably have some boundary, like some province, city, counties, or townships. And also, the data come from different time, and also they have come from different scales. So here is some principle for the China data design. So the first one, we make sure the data has authority. So now we probably have the many data, big data, and the data from different sources, different vendors. But one most the issue, challenge is the authority. So data should, if the data come from some authority, then we understand what kind of the standard of the data and what's the possible problem or issues with the data. So all the data can be probably the data we can connect it up incomplete or kind of have some issues with the data. But if we know how the data is connected, what kind of standard, then we can always and to find how to control the errors or how to make the corrections and the data, and also how to project the data. Second one is completion. For one of the most challenging from the statistics yearbooks is probably the table from different provinces are not the same. So if you try to find some data available for all the region of China, it's pretty difficult. So how to make the data complete for all the region of China, that's pretty very important issue. And also how to keep our data uniqueness. Whereas data centers, if you work to try to keep survive, so the uniqueness, how to and make the data have some unique features, that's important for the data centers. Here's some data source. China data source, our China data source, primarily from the several different sources. One is the government statistics. The government statistics has province statistics, city, and county. So the province statistics come from 1949, and the city counties and start in 1996 and 1997. The second one is so the most the issue, the questions about the government statistics, because the government statistics are connected by different government, different levels of government to report from the township to the county to the city and to the province and to the central government. So there's always some challenges how this report system is that and accurate or is there any bubble there. So now the government also realize the issue there, so they try to have some control. They have their survey team, so use survey data as a control for the national estimate. And the second one is population census. The government statistics might be available and from the different the sources, not some from the government's the website. And now all the government they were not to ask them to make the data for public as more as available. And even not all the data can be available on the government website. And the second primary resource for China studies is population census. Probably not many people and have access to the completed census data, and maybe some partials. The population census start from 53, 64, 82, 90, 2000, 2010. For 53, 64, they only and connect very few information and try to count how many people they need food. Then start from 82, the Chinese government start to try to introduce the census system from the US. Then for 1990 and 2000, 2010, start have more complete, comprehensive the census data. So those population census data provide very important and also more reliable information for the China studies, especially demographic studies. Those data are available at national level, province, some at county, and some at township. But the most the complete data we have is for 2000, and when the Chinese government allowed to make those data available for China studies. Another resource, and also very important resource, and for China studies is the economic census, but not many people may be aware or have access to this data. Those economic census start from industrial census, then they change to basic unit census and cover not only the manufacturing, but also expand to service sector. Then start from 2004, they start more formal economic census. Then every 5 years, 2004, 2008, 2013, 18, and those data have the connecting information from all the business in China, including manufacturing and the service sector, and also include the private sectors. And so the come from economic sense data, and also there's exception data. There's about now there's for 2004 there's about 7 million for the legal and economic unit. There are about 30 million the private the business. Now there are about more than 40 million this business in China. And also there are some other graphical environment data, like some land use data from the remote sense data, lifetime data from remote sense data. So there's now the more and more data and a source compiled from remote sense data. And for GIS, and there's not many official GIS map available for public. And so the GIS maps we are using are developed and to match the census year, match the census data. We have some base maps for 2000 population census and also for 2010 census. And in addition to those China data source, now there's some other data source available for China studies, like some the patent the data, the custom data, the import export, and also there's some China industrial survey data, but those data they are not available for the international users. And now also there's some data come from the business registration. Now and there are also more and more kind of the big data, like some social media data from Weibo and from other the social media the website. So here's the population census data. The population census data and pretty comprehensive from the general information to the nationality, age structure, house structure, education, fertility, days, marriage, migration, housing status, industries, and occupations. And those data are available at different levels from national, province, prefecture, county, township. Not all this kind of data are available from in the official publications. But we received some electronic data from National Bureau of Statistics, so we actually compile and those data and for different scales. So especially like some prefecture, city, county, and also township neighborhood. And for the population census data, there's 2000 is a very important milestone and for the Chinese population. Before the 2000, the Chinese population are classified as agriculture and non-agriculture the population. This is based on the household registration, the system. It's very unique in China. We don't have this kind of system in the US or in Europe. So everyone has a household, and so you are identified as either urban household or rural household. But after 1980s, so there's many people has been moving around, and many people move from the rural area to the urban cities. So even their household registration keeps still the same as before. So that's in Shenzhen. There's now almost there's about 30 million people, close to 30 million people in Shenzhen cities. But the majority, most of the people, only a few people, maybe less than 10 million people, have the household registration in Shenzhen cities. That means the majority of the people, they are still keep the original the household registration, and many come from the rural areas. So it's important to understand how many for the permanent population live in those cities. So start from 2000, there's the report the population by the permanent household, the population. The permanent household the population is based on where you stay, not based on the household registration. So if you stay here for more than 6 months, you can consider as a permanent population. So now in the national and province stats yearbooks, they will report this permanent population. But in the county and city neighbors, and they don't have this information from the yearly stats yearbooks, because that kind of information can only come from the census. Another important the data from the 2000 start also from 2000 is the migration. So since the migration now has been a primary or the percentage or very large percentage in the urban cities. So the migration is it's very important to understand how many people migrate from other places. So there's a definition for migration in 2000 census. So in the 2000 census, they identify or classify those people if you move from other place to this place for more than 6 months or and less than 5 years, you are considered as a kind of migration. That's important. So if you have been staying here more than 5 years, you are not considered as a migration, even you don't have the local household registration. But if you stay here, just come here less than 6 months, you are not considered as a kind of migration. You are not identified as a permanent residence. And also, another important concept for migration is migration is there's a different kind of definition for migration. Once move from one township to another township. So if you are just change the house, move from the one township to another township in the same city, you are also considered as a kind of migration. And also, they also have a migration, migrate from the other counties of the same province, from other cities of the same province, and also from other province. So there's a migration by different categories. So those in the data are pretty important to define the demographic features in China. And then also those important features only started from 2000, the census. Well, here's the economic census data. The economic census data and start from 2004. And they collect the data from all the different economic business units. So cover from about more than 900 economic sectors. And the data include for each the business where they can be available for the public studies is about what kind of industry, what kind of products you have, and 3 primary products, and also what kind of ownership. So there are about 23 different ownership in China, pretty comprehensive, pretty complicated, and also different revenue and employment scales. So here is the sample of how to classify the business unit. There's you can see in 2004, 2008, and 2013. So there's 3 primary different categories for this business unit. The one is called a legal unit. Legal unit, that means you have independent, you can sign the contract as a legal, have a legal status. The second one is the economic unit. The economic include the legal unit, but some units probably they don't have the independent legal unit. Like some one bank, they probably have the different branches. Those branches they don't have a legal status. Like some McDonald's have the chain food stores. Those the stores, food stores, they don't have legal the status. So in 2000, and also there's some other private business. Basically, it's a kind of the family business. So in 2004, there are about more than 5 million legal units and more than almost 7 million and economic unit, and almost close to 40 million the private business. Then this has been changed from 2004, 2008, 2016. You can see the different trend. The legal unit has been doubled from 2004 to 2013. Now it's more than 10 million. And then economic unit also has been doubled. Now it's more than 13 million. And the private unit, the business kind of and has been reduced. Some may be changed from the private to economic unit. So here's the industrial classifications. So there's the industrial classification by the 3 primary different category. One is a big category. The second one is a medium category, and also the small category. The big category, about 18 different big category. Then there's about almost 100 for the medium category. So then there are about 900 for each the category. So more detailed. So those data now and has been available on the China Data Online. On the China Data Online, if you go to the ChinaDataOnline.com, you can see the 3 primary category. And the first one is the statistical database. The second one is the census database. The third one is spatial database. The statistical database cover the monthly and the yearly statistics data, and at the national level, province level, city, county, and also there is industrial data at monthly and yearly levels. And also we have the statistical data sheets from all the yearly, the province statistical yearbooks. So all the data sheets has been digitized as both English and Chinese. The second big category is the census database. The census database is basically is a kind of connection of the electronic, the census books, and include some census data from 1980 to 1990 and 2000, and also some economic census data. So those census data and provide more than 3,000 electronic the books. All the books are also available in both English and Chinese. Where the China GeoExpert is the most primary the data source and integrate all those kind of data in one system. So in the China stat data or the census data book, all the data are served in a kind of traditional way. All the database are separate, and all the tables are separate. So if you try to extract, let's say, one variable from the different region and or different years, and it's very difficult, or almost it cannot and get the data or link the data across the different source, say from the different the census data from different years, or between or the economic census data and the population census data. So we have been trying to combine all this data or integrate all this data in one kind of system, and also to integrate those data with the GIS maps. So the Chinese data, the government data, or the statistics data, the census data, the population data, they are separate. They don't have they didn't come with the GIS map. So you don't have the spatial location where they are located. So we developed the GIS map to match those data. Those data now has been and start from the different separate products. Now they are available in the one integrated system. So all the non-spatial data, spatial data, and data from the different year, different source has been integrated in the, we call it China GIS4. So now we have the statistics data, sense data, GIS data. And with GIS4, you can easily to search, extract the data, and also export those data, generate a chart, table, and reports, and maps, and pretty easily, and without any trainings. So here are some unique features of China we call spatial data. The first one is probably the most complete connection in China's history, and provide the detailed data for nation, province, city, county, urban district, and township neighbors. And it also provide the complete coverage for all the province, or city, or county, and a township of mainland China. We don't have the data for the Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. And all the data, that's very important features are, they are comparable across the time and the region. And with adjusted base map, we said, and we, all the data, when you say comparable, they had to use some base map. So all our data has been used, there are 3 different base map. So different data from different source has been adjusted and to match those maps. So, and most data in the China GIS4 are pretty unique, and that means those data are not available in the official publications. So we get the receive the electronic data directly, and then compiled and merged with the GIS. So next time, the population sense data are compiled from the source data directly, not from the paper publication. One big problem for Chinese population sense publication is all the provinces, they have different tables. And a different province, they have are not consistent at what kind of the neighbor of the data they have. So some province, maybe they have the publication and from the province to the city neighbor. Some come to the county neighbor. So if you, and also some have this kind of table 1, some have table 2. So if you try to find a one variable, say for all the counties in China, it's almost impossible. You can find a connect from the paper publications. And also economic sense data, our economic sense data are compiled from the establishment data directly, and then aggregated by the province, city, county, and zip neighbors. That means those data tables are not even available in any paper publications. And also all the data has been integrated with the GIS maps. So here are some primary functions for China GIS4. You can snap data by administration units, say by province, city, county, township. You can also snap the data by group, say Central China, East China, West China. You can also snap data by location, say X, Y coordinates and a spatial range. And also you can snap the data by the province, city, county based on the time series statistics. And also all snap data by the establishment, by different industries, and by their years, accepted years. You can report data in the summary report, comparison report, or rank report. And there are tables. You can export data to Excel file, Word, PDF, or GIS shape files. And also we provide a map library and a data sheets with a map data. So all the stat tables, all the maps, and can come with a map data. They provide us some, say, kind of description for each table and maps, and also citation, and also unique linkage. So here's the interface for China GIS4. So you can see there are several menus, and menus for administration units, location, chart, time series, establishment, and a GIS map export, and a map library. So here's the interface for administration units. You can select the, say, province, city, county, or township. You can either manually select from the menu on the left side. You can also select from the right side and with the mouse on the map directly. Then, so you can see here's a list of the different data source. Here's the data exported to the Excel file, and this is different the variables. So here's the sample of the location analysis. You can and snap some point on the map, or you can input your XY coordinates here, and then you can decide what kind of spatial range, say 1 mile, 3 miles, 5 miles, or 10 miles. Then you can generate and the data based on the variable you selected and by the different spatial range, and then export the tables. So next time you can find, say, how many population and within this university or within this restaurant or within this hotel, and or within 10 miles or 50 miles. And here's a chart analysis, basically to provide kind of structure, how the structure can change for business, for population. Next on this one, you can see what kind of the change of, say, hotel and finance or manufacturing, and based on the starting year of each business. This is time series data. For statistics data, basically you can snap data and extract data by the year, region, and index. This is established data. We have about more than 7 million established data for all the business in China. And you can find where they're located, when they start a business, and also what kind of trend of their business by industries. So here's a sample of the panel data, and for spatial modeling. So it not only include original data, but also it generate a spatial weighted variable. That means kind of averaged and variables, and within, say, 500 miles and 1,000 miles, and a kind of neighborhood information. So those are generated from the original data source. So this is the chart and come from the establishment data. So you can see and for different business, different industries, and what kind of the trend of those industries, and based on the year of establishment. So you can see, identify some very significant, like some possible policy impacts or economic impacts, shock points there, shock impact there. So this is a kind of general overview for the China Data Online. Then I will also talk about briefly about the new project called China Data Lab. And our China Data Online has been properly used, subscribed by more than 100 institutional users in most of the libraries in the world. And most of the top universities are using the data for the China studies. But one of the big issues we realize is even many people probably have the data, but it's still there are many people may not be able actually more effectively use the data. There's several issues there. One is where probably the data are separate from the tools. You cannot only just need the data, but also you need a software for the data. The second one is also the data may be separated from methodology. That's if we see the papers, probably there's a papers in the data that talk about data. They also use the different methodologies, the different tools. But it's for the other papers, it's not easy to replicate and repeat what they're doing. So it's kind of all the data, tool, and methodology are kind of separate. And all the research are not reproducible and replicable, and also it's not easy to be expanded. And so we have been trying to find what kind of solutions and to make the people and be able and to use the data, and also more effectively to use the data. And also the data may be not only by the people with skills of the program skills or statistical skills, but I also can be used by the people without many advanced trainings on those skills. And also there's some other challenges, not only our data, but also people also probably like to integrate data with their data. and also how to share their information with some other papers. So there's a big challenges for the data, the tour and research sharing. Once the data sharing is not only our data, but also some license data, some restricted data, sensitive data, and also large size data. So now for those kind of purposes, the data will be the traditional way to serve the data. Say when you need the data, you download the data to your desktop. It's probably be outdated. So all the data has to be on the cloud. People can access from the different place to the cloud. And also they can have control and how to share the data and who you can share the data. The second one is tour share. So once you have the data on the cloud, and also you need to provide the tours for the data. So the tours may be included license data, license tour and free tour. And also the system should be also provide the integrated environment for tours and for data. And also another issue is also maintain keep up data of the software. So every time when we have the workshop or we always has a problem, the different way to install the software, and there's license issue, there's a technical issue. So it's always kind of challenging. So we need to provide not only the data share, but also tour share. The people don't have to install the tours on their desktop. And also another most of the challenge is how to share the research results. Not just the paper, but the workflow for data analysts. So other people, they can replicate and reproduce how they are doing in their papers. And then the papers and the research can be used for teaching and trainings. So here's what we have been doing in the last several years and have been working on. It's a cloud-based platform. So now the cloud-based platform is a data center for you connect your data and sharing your data. And also it's a research base for the people from different places can collaborate and on the data and on the project. And also as a development center for data case studies and also a training center and to deploy the research results and data. So here's the current interface. And the current interface, this provides integrated platform for research and teaching. So we can have the three primary folders. One is for the data folders. So data folders is file folder. You can have the public folder, personal folder, and a download folder. So you can share your data in the public folders. So all the students or colleges can share the data. Then in personal folders, you can upload your personal data and for your personal use. There's a tour. The tour, we have all the different kinds of software installed on the cloud. So you don't have to, you can run the software exactly the same as on your desktop, but you don't have to install that one on your desktop. Another one is a data link, the sharing center. So we are working with the different data vendors to have the direct access to their database on the cloud. So there are some primary features, data available only on the cloud. Say you cannot download the data and until it is proved, but you can download the results from your research analysis. And a tour available on the cloud, and all the computation also on the cloud. So you don't have to worry how many G memory I have. So if I can run the software or run the computation, because it's run on the cloud, and there are no maintenance required for end users. So we have been working with different data vendors and software and also research centers for this data lab. So this data lab is a joint project with Harvard University and also Wuhan University in China. So we are working with the different research centers teams and to try to build a kind of workflow to integrate the data and software and also to replicate some research papers and workflows in the research papers. So that's kind of sample how to, as you build a workflow, then you don't have to use a different software. So all from the data process, data analysis, and data visualization are in the same software. Now there's a many different kind of the choice of this kind of tool called workflow-based software tools. And with that kind of tools, your project can be and copied and passed and transferred and from one person to another person. So now not only read the paper, we need to and execute the data process and in the paper, behind the paper. So here's some the samples for we call the case studies, and of this kind of how the workflow can help us to improve our research efficiencies. This is one of the literature analysis with NIM. NIM, the software, is a workflow software. So so this is the postdoc and a fellow, and we recruited at Harvard University. So he has been working as a postdoc in another university, worked on the literature and reviews, the studies, and to find how their publication and project and also the patent, and to try to analyze. So this workflow, and they have published some papers. So we're using the workflow now to replicate the work and then try to expand the work and then show how this can be used, expanded from one field and also for teaching, to training the people. So this kind of data source for this the project. One is metadata for publication, for patent, and grants. So here's some data input and connected from all the public source and Web Science, ProQuest, and also National Science Foundation website for publication, patent, grants. So that's a flowchart for data analysis in the papers. And basically, first they input the data, then manipulate the data and get index, and then use the network analysis, and then finally show the results of the analysis. So this is the kind of workflow we build up, and for that kind of flowchart, from conceptual and flowchart and to the workflow building this software. So with this software, all the data process are included in the workflow. And with this workflow, you don't have to program. It's a function available already there. And you just only need to configure their functions. So everyone can learn this one. And also, even if you don't know the static analysis, or even you don't know the GIS, you can run the workflow and get the results. So that's kind of results from the publication analysis. You can see yearly the publication by year, and also publication by author, and also the network of the authors. This is the result from the patent analysis. You can the patent by different year, different the classification field, and also by the authors, and also network between different authors. This is the result from the ground analysis. So the one important is with the network analysis, we can find the kind of connection between the different authors for publication, for grants. So you can identify those kind of key scholars who have a connection with different network. And so that's another case study. So the first case study is all based on a text data book. That kind of textbook data analysis, it can be transferred from any other text the data analysis, not from the journal papers, from the social media. And this one is the second one is based on the firm level analysis, and this is based on one paper and published on the Journal of the Corporate Finance. They are using some firm level data and from China, and to try to find what kind of the key factors for those the different firms, the firms from by the initial public offering firms or the reverse merger the firms. So they are using some firm level data from IPO data for RM data and firm level data. So this kind of flowchart for this data analysis, and this is the workflow we're using the NIM and for the kind of transferred from the conceptual flowchart to this software workflow. So that's kind of results from data analysis. And one of the big advantages with the workflow, you don't have to do the work step by step. And all the workflow can be done in the same button. Once you press run, they can run by step and step. And also they can run everything once for all. So all these tables and the chart, the maps can come in the same time. So everyone and also can reproduce and replicate this workflow. And also you can always change to edit the workflow. So also basically, so this is a original publication. This is once we build workflow, we did some expanded studies. And they don't have the map, we add the map. They don't have this chart, we add the chart. So you can basically expand and from their previous studies pretty easily. So we have been using and try different workflow tools and for different the case studies. So we have some experiment, and Luxon use the workflow for the social media data for the air pollution to predict air pollution. We use the data and for spatial temporal analysis of higher education in China to use the traffic data to predict the traffic probability by the route, and also to use the remote sensing data to identify the water and qualities in the Buyang Lake. So basically, that's our objective, is try to build a kind of the.
Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you, these environmental data, where do you get them from?
The environment data?
Yeah.
Okay. First, the social media data is from the Weibo. It's public. You can crawl.
Yeah.
Statistics from the government statistics available, and from official side, and also from our data. The traffic data is connected by a project. It's usually they report, the government report say on each route.
You have tools that can harvest these data from Chinese websites. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And also the remote sensing data is available there's many different. It's also available downloaded the MODIS data. You can download that from many different sites.
Okay. Thank
so
you.
now there's many data available. It's how to kind of integrate and manipulate, and also how to make the people, even they don't have the technical skill, they can use the data. That's only the workflow can help people and for these objectives. So with this kind of the lab now, we can have the people come from different places, work on the same platform, and build the same project and build workflows, and then expand this workflow, and then transfer and deliver this workflow and to other people for research and training educations. So that's kind of our objective. So we can now integrate data from say data, from big data, GIS data, remote sensing data, different data source, and build this kind of database, and then build this kind of workflow, and then for easily to be people used by, for easily get the maps, chart, the output, and for training, for research. So that's our website. The first one is our China Data website. And that's actually built on the Harvard. And this is our China Data Online website. This is the cloud, and for this the China Data Lab.
Could I ask you another question about the legality? You mentioned that at the beginning, but so the data you have there are only data that are publicly available from China. Is that correct?
Okay, would you repeat your questions?
Yes, I'm just asking that the data you have available there for public access, are they data that are also publicly available in China?
We have some data available for the public free, but most data are kind of subscription based. for those substring-based data, and most data are not available in the public, the paper publications.
Oh.
So I can show you and what kind of data may be available from other resource. Some what kind of data are only available in our database.
Yeah. So I don't know about your payment system and all of this, but I guess Ingalil knows about it. So, but I'm just wondering that even no matter how the data is accessed, the data you have and that you offer are data that is from official Chinese sources. Is that
Yes. Where I can say majority. Here is our China data. You can see this one, China Data Online.
Yeah. No, I can't see anything anymore. I can't see it.
What do you see?
Oh, great.
Again, I just see a big box.
Oh, okay, here.
Yeah, okay, yes. Now I see it.
Okay. So here's you can see there are three primary categories for China Data Online, and one is the static data, one is the sense data, one is the spatial data. The China static data, you can see that there's a monthly and a yearly, like some monthly data, and you can see this is pretty straightforward.
I know these data. I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering if you're also collecting NABU data.
NABU data?
Yeah, NABU.
内部 data.
内部.
You mean inner?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Where
like if you go to one of the.
I'm not sure how you identify what's the NABU and wave data. Okay.
Yeah.
This is static data.
I don't know.
Okay, these static data are very kind of general, and
okay, yes.
You can probably find from some government website, not some from the central government, private government. They probably not the same, the complete as this the database. They mostly they provide some mostly recent the data.
Yeah, I know, for example, a lot of the geographical data from China, meteorological data and things like this are secret, right? They are considered state secrets.
Where depend on scales. So if there is a urinate for international one, it's 1 to 1 million scales. That'll be fine. If there is less than 1 to 1 million, then there will have some restrictions.
Okay.
And so for this stats data here, there are no secrets, and basically it's and available from the most of the or some of them are from the government the website, but they're probably not complete. Maybe just cover some the recent years. Okay, and also they probably only have the Chinese, not the English. And so you can see also some other different vendors maybe also offer similar data, because this data can become connected and from the public source.
Yeah,
and
it looks very interesting.
Here in the stats data, and we have some unique features. Here is one is the province and national statistics. So this is like some statistics data. We call the tables. The table and come from the statistics the data sheets. So this data sheets is this data sheets. So these data sheets we compile actually digitized.
I can't. I only see a frozen presentation with two gray boxes on top now. I don't see what you're actually showing me.
Can you see this screen? The China Data Online?
No, I don't see anything now.
Oh, you maybe. Can I say maybe the
No, I just see who is participating.
Oh, okay. Share. Well, now you can see the screen.
Yes, now I can see it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this one has the data sheets compiled from all different provinces. So you can retrieve the data and say by the one province, and you can sort by region, by the years. You can get this table directly. And here you can see there's metadata. There's territory source, data sheets, and citation, and also there's a unique ID here. So that kind of the different unique. You can search keywords. They always say the migration.
Yeah.
Right. So you can search So now you can see, oh, there's not migration. They call the hairs.
Yeah.
So you can find a kind of different way, the different tables and relate to the hair table, right? So that's the traditional China statistics data and service. The second, the big source is the sense data. Then the sense data book is not available. Many not this sense data is compiled for every counties, and it's a kind of traditional the books. These are not from different from the paper publications.
Yeah.
The paper publication so they don't properly the table maybe different from the province to province, and different province maybe have different neighbors. So here we have the complete the same format for all the counties and cities and provinces in China. So that's a kind of but the problem is all these databases are kind of separate, individually separate, right? They're not connected to each other. So if you try to get some data from economic census data and also from the population census data, almost you have to do that by yourself. So this is the China for is the primary spatial system. We integrate data and from the different source. That's you can see now. You can see this kind of the data has been integrated with the spatial maps. So we have the different the menu here. You can snap data by attendance units, to go by the province, by prefecture, by the county. Then you can manually snap data and from here, or you can just use a mouse to snap some counties. Then you can snap some index predefined or customized from the population census, economic census. Right?
Okay.
And pick the, and then you can export this data to HTML, PDF, Excel file, or Word files. This data very straightforward. So this is kind of county data I snapped data.
Okay. It's very intuitive.
And this one is allow you to snap data by the points, the XY coordinates. They were at the XY coordinates here, and also based on the spatial range. So right to spatial range, the 1, 3, 5 miles, or you can change that one. Then you can snap the different index. Then you can export this data to summary report, summary or comparison report. And so this can see these tables is kind of the generator and on request, not from public publications. So basically, we have more than 6,000 different kind of variables for population, for economic, business, different years. So this is time series data. You can get data by province, prefecture, city, county, neighbor. You can just snap the province and snap different years and snap different index. And then generate the data report. So you can see this kind of panel data, right? Very straightforward. And this is kind of chart to see the chart for unit statistics data or economic sense data. And basically, you can see different industries. Say, I would like to see fishery, and what's the structure. Business structure has been keep changes. So that data actually is not impossible from the government resource. It actually we compiled from the firm level data. And here you can also use all the indicators to generate maps, say by the provinces, prefecture, city, counties. And for example, we can say generate the maps, and for say the index snapshot. So get the sense data, you can find the data from. So it's very easy to transfer from.
Amazing.
Again, there are more than 6,000. And so net cover, nighttime data, that's not from government statistics, not from national bureaus. They're compiled from the remote sense data. So that's the only data, not from net government. Here's the exception data for more than 7 million business units in China. So basically, you can snap any, say, I would like to snap the manufacturing, and I can snap, say, and from different years. So you can get the data from the different years, and then get the data by, this is a new exception. And you can export this data table to the Excel file. And so basically you can see all the individual records in the report. So that's kind of individual data were selected. And basically also you can export anything here to the GIS maps. We come with the data. So like I will select this data. I will pick the prefecture, and this pick up index. And then you can go to GIS map export. Then where the export download a zip file with the different files in the zip map, so you can come with a GIS map.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the GIS map I just exported. So you can see the map data, what kind of variable I selected.
Yeah. You also have like environmental data. I mean, the regular measurements that are being done of air quality or water quality and things like this.
Where those data has to compare actually from remote sense data.
Yeah.
Not so water qualities, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the China data line, the functions for China data line. The map library allow you to access to the different kind of the connection of the maps of China. Yeah. And say I can get to the data at the county neighbor, and all the data can be downloaded to Excel file. And all this the map library provide more than 8 million maps of China.
Okay.
Basically, everything in the China Explorer, they can be served as an individual the maps if they are predefined, but not by XY coordinates by the spatial range. Those kind of generated based on the requirement. Okay. Provide a very easy database to search across the different the source and the different years and different database. So that's the kind of primary function for the China data online. Any question here? Yeah.
No, it's fine.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yeah.
First of all, I mean, one of the problems with when using the yearbooks as statistical databases is, of course, that the tables, the names of tables actually change over a period. So it's hard to get, like what you said, consistent data.
Right.
How do you handle that problem?
Okay. The data we have, actually, if you see this private city stats, those data are not compiled from the statistical yearbooks. Actually, they're compiled by the central government, by National Bureau of Statistics. We cannot do that by ourselves. Mm-hmm. So for every the different regions, the province, cities, and their data, the same variables, you probably can find a difference between those index and released by the central government and the regional government are different. And the reasons, because the province, for example, each province maybe release their GDP. Then the central government, when they connect the GDP from different provinces, they have to have the quality check, have the central control, make some adjustment. And so the data from the different stats yearbooks, if you compare and put them together, that can be a big mistake. The data are not comparable. So the central government, the National Bureau of Statistics will do some adjustment and then release the data at the province and the city and the county neighbors.
That's the data you get directly from.
Right. So we don't do the data to collect it from different stats and put together. So that's something when you maybe some vendors they try to merge the data and from different sources put together, and you can probably make some big mistake. You try to sort you may think they are consistent, but they are not consistent. Okay. you think they are comparable, but they're not comparable.
That's what we have seen. We've seen some articles on China's emissions of CO2, right? If you add up the provincial statistics, they're much higher than the national statistics.
Right, right. But now the system in China, there are kind of changes that, and they start to change the system probably from last year. So the province say, only the government, they can release data from the lower government. Say the province GDP will not be released by the province, the Stats Bureau, but it will be released by central government.
Yeah.
Another question, I mean, if you want to participate in this China Data Lab project, I mean, one thing is how do you participate if you want to participate, and what you want from the ones participating. The other thing is also you talk about public data and private data on your platform. Who owns the data in the end? Is it the individual researcher who still owns his own research and his own data that he's compiled, or how does it work?
Okay, for those data, say from the China, the online data online, and we work out with our partners called All China Market Research Company. It's a company in China. They are spin off from National Bureau of Statistics. So they actually own have the ownership of this database, and we are not make the data here. We help to build the database, help to build integrate the system for the data, the service. But they own the basically the copyright of this data service and database. But if for say the China Data Lab project, if the data are connected by the researchers or different vendors, then the different people have keep their ownership.
They keep the ownership to the analysis, not to the data.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, here is our China Data Lab project, and I just show you here. So here is the China. If you go to the China Data Lab.cn, you can see this screen. So where I already this is screen for login. So once you put your user ID and a password, you get this screen. So now you can see there are 5 folders. Login. So once you log in, you can see there are 3 primary folders here. The one is the file folder. This is for public sharing. This is personal. This is for download. So the public folder, you can see we put some right now it's still on the test. So you can see we have some data here for the public sharing.
And with public, you mean public in general, or public within the platform, or the participants in the platform?
The public folder. So next time, this data, every user they can see this kind of folders.
Okay.
Next time, this one we have this map for China, and for every year, by the province, by the city, by the counties, and from 49 to 2018, and we keep it update the maps for China and every year. So those data are not available in the Challenge Explorer because we don't have the same set of data to match those maps yet. And also every year the boundary keeps changes, right? So it's a kind of the resource for research. And also we have some case studies, some other data under these the folders. So that's for the public sharing. And another folder is personal. Personal folder, you can upload your data and to the cloud and for your research. And then another is a tour. The tour we have provided different kind of tour for statistics, for the GIS, for spatial statistics, for the workflow, different workflow also some from Office. So the other tools, for example, if you don't have the GIS software, and we actually have the agreement with the Esri, and for they provide the support, free support for the GIS software. it's a license, where they provide a kind of free license to us. And we also have the different flow chart, the tools here. Like example, this is core name. I just open this one. You can see the
Oh.
yeah, I try to this one. I try to this one. So you can, if you click this one, you can get the start the workflow tool. It's kind of slow here.
Guides or how to use these tools?
Yes, there's the YouTube. There's different kind of the guideline, and also to show you how to use those kind of workflow tools. We also provide the kind of workshop to show the people how to use those kind of workflow tools to develop case studies. How to move this one? Okay, I probably have to switch the share my screen. I have to stop sharing and then restart that one. Share. Okay. Now you can see this workflow tool here. So basically, you can, with this workflow, you can just identify where is a kind of data source. You can see the data here. You can snap data from, say, which files. You can snap, say, what kind of data are right to snap from the cloud, from my folders. Snoop. And you can, basically, you can just configure all the tools here. Snow here. Kind of the pretty slow. Okay. So basically, you can, all this the workflow you can just run together, and also you have different workflow they also run together and get the multiple output very easily. So we have been training the student from the undergraduate student, first year, second years, and to the graduate student. They can and learn this very quickly. So we are actually replicate and the workflow from the different papers. So other people, they can start from there to expand their research and to learn how to and what kind of standard research procedures and how to and use those kind of the statistics data and GIs for the data analysis. Okay. So
you say you cooperate with Harvard and Wuhan University.
yes.
What do they do in the?
Okay. So the workflow, the Harvard University, we are using a kind of Dataverse and a word map to build the metadata, the management system for the metadata, for the original data, for GIS data, and so kind of to make all this kind of the different data towards in a central place for management and for sharing, and also for training and for the develop kind of pilot project for the data case studies. The Wuhan University, and they are very strong in the GIS, they're probably the largest GIS group in the world. So they have many people with very good trainings in the GIS and remote sensing. the technologies. So they actually helped build the technology and methodology for spatial the data analysis and technologies.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm fine, thank you.
More, if you actually want to participate, what do you require?
Oh, okay. So right now, the Wuhan University actually, okay, that comes out this menu now. Okay, Wuhan, with support from Wuhan University, we provide we can offer some the free account for China Data Lab. And so basically, if you'd like to participate, and the first one, you have to apply maybe through you, and those the consortium were members from send application through you. And we'll provide some, basically, we'd like to see what you, how you can maybe use those kind of the tools, data, and build a workflow and for research. And we also will provide some trainings and ideally build kind of teamwork. Say, if you are working on, say, particular the science, and you have the research ideas, you probably don't have these program skills or technical skills, but we can have, say, some people, some student, and work with you to help you build a workflow and for the data analysis. And if we don't have that data in our house, say if our China data don't provide not that kind of data, we can try to help identify where is the data source and work with them, build some, say, pilot studies and with their data and for your research. So with this kind of the collaboration, we're trying to build kind of the network to have the people from the scholar research and also from technical skills. And with that kind of work can be and help other people to understand and how this kind of the data methodology and tools and help others, the people's research. And ideally, that kind of research can also be transferred and replicated by other people. So other people can also benefit from this kind of the collaborations.
Okay, so if I have a research idea, I could briefly describe it, and then you could make an assessment whether it would be possible to do it with one of your tools.
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that.
Right. So basically, we need people have, so most of right now, this kind of work are done by technical people.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So they don't understand the kind of research questions. The people, they understand the research questions, they don't have this kind of the technical skills. That kind of gap we'll try to fill up.
Yeah. Right. That's good. So maybe we should discuss it internally here, how we go about it, and then we could approach you.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So first one, I will give you some give you Sabre account. So maybe you can start to test that one. And then we'll start to offer some workshops, and from next year, probably now, because we have the Sabre workshops this year in the US and China already, and not for Publica. But next year, we'll probably offer some trainings start from next year.
Okay.
You can also have probably your student or visiting scholars and join the webinars. And then also you can identify, say, what kind of your research question. Or maybe we can start from your publications papers. So you have some publication already. Then we can ask some people to help to build the workflow to replicate your research. From your previous publication, that's much easier. Then you can see how this works. Then how this can be expanded.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you can use that one also for training for teachings.
Yes, exactly. I think that's very important.
Yeah. So what we are doing is try to fill the gaps. The students, they probably have the different skills in the same class. Some are good at technical skills, but some are not. But they have the same interest. So with our, say, workflow with a platform, the student with different advanced neighbors, they can plug in. So if they don't have any program skill, they can do how to replicate the data, use the data to substitute from one field to another field. If they are good at the methodology, they can input or revise the methodology. If they are very good at skills, the program skills, they can try to use a different R, Python, Java in different program and to help and change or improve this kind of tools, right? So every people, if they don't have any skills, if you are good at theory, then you can just think about focus on the research question, and other people they can help build the workflow and help on the technical skill. So we have the central support at Harvard and Wuhan University, and also we have the people from different other universities join the team to build for the different kind of as a teamwork.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, so our keep the contact with Igor about this one.
Yeah, sure.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holiday.